Good morning, everyone. Well, it turns out the world is in absolute crisis. Now, before I get on to this and talk about Trump the humiliation from by the Iranians to Donald Trump, I just want to throw this out there because some people, they're like, "Oh, Sean, why are you pro-Iranian?" I'm absolutely not. I'm pro-West. I'm pro-America. America is one of the places I, want to live. I've got to be honest, if you're watching a football game and you are 6-0 down and, it's, you've got 2 minutes left and you say, yeah, we're probably going to lose this one. You're not being a traitor. You're not being negative to your home team. You're just saying, look, this is the situation. And unfortunately, we didn't win this one. Now, I'm not saying for 1 second that the United States are going to lose this conflict. Not a chance. They can't lose, basically. The United States are too big. They're too powerful. They can't lose. However, one thing I've always said about conflict is a conflict is only over when both sides say it is. You cannot have a conflict that's like a war, and then one side says, right, we've won, we're going now, and then they're like, no, you've definitely not, and fire a lot and keep firing missiles. That's not how things work. That is literally not how things work. Can you imagine a mixed martial arts fight where like the two fighters are, they're fighting each other, and then one of the fighters just says, yep, I've won, and he's like, no, I've not tapped out, you've not knocked me out, I'm still throwing punches. I'm not down. So that's pretty much where we are right now, guys. So let me get on to this because it has been quite wild. I'll literally just read you these headlines, okay? Iran fires missiles at American military bases across the Gulf and tells the United States that it is you are negotiating with yourselves. I will be sharing. I've got quite a few videos to share as well, but the situation in this region right now, it's conflicting to say the least. So we will be talking about that, and it is quite, and it's clearly a humiliation for the Americans. It's clearly a humiliation for the United States, for Donald Trump, for Pete Hegseth, for all these people in America who came out and said that this is going to be over very soon. Look. From day one on this conflict, I told you guys that it was going to be at least 3 years. So just for context for everyone now, because there's anxiety, people are worrying, people are thinking about this. Donald Trump, it's going to be over. This is going to happen. It's not. It's absolutely not. We can't do, you can't, we still have to operate here under physical laws, which are, you can't take a country from the air. You can't take a country from the sea. So inevitably, there is going to be some sort of boots on the ground. So let's just get into this, guys. And then I've got quite a few videos to share with you guys. Because listen, if you live in the United Kingdom, and I do, if you live in the United Kingdom, we are still looking at the conflict in Ukraine. Remember, I said that Estonia, can you guys remember when I did the video and I mentioned Estonia, the next potential place for Russian boots, opening up a new war front? Turns out there is a summer push at the moment. There's a spring, not summer push. There's a spring offensive started, and Googleinos sent me a link earlier that totally went by my radar. And thank you for that, Googleinos. Sent me a link that there's been Russian drone strikes in Estonia. So I will be coming on to that later. But let's not forget as well that here in the United Kingdom, we are being inundated by mass migration. Doesn't look like it's stopping. Taxes, unemployment, all that stuff is real. However, for the time being, and I'm going to talk about the crows. Have you guys seen the crows in Tel Aviv? I blocked him yesterday, didn't I? And it's my own mistake. But I think that guy who we blocked yesterday, I think his name was William something. I bet he would have known of what these crows meant. So I will be sharing videos because apparently I know we've got some people from Israel on here. First of all, if you guys from Israel are on here, can you tell me if when I share them in a bit, can you tell me if these videos of these crows in Israel, if it's real or is it AI? Because we are at that stage now, right? I don't know what's real and what's AI. And if it is real, is it Israel in Israel? If it is like not AI and that really happened, does that happen often? you know, let's just put those things before we go down biblical context and end times prophecy. Anyhow, so Iran's Revolutionary Guard have just announced a fresh salvo of attacks targeting US military bases in Kuwait, Jordan, and Bahrain. They described the strikes as hitting the heart of the occupied territories. In plain English, that means US facilities on Arab soil that have been supporting operations in Iran since the war began 4 weeks ago. So now you've got this absolute, guys, and I don't want to be, I don't feel I'm using the word negatively. It's an absolute humiliation. If you come out on the news, on the media and say, we've destroyed Iran, they've got no military left, they've lost and we've won, and then a couple of hours later, they send missile strikes to your bases, regardless of how successful those missile strikes are, that clearly points to the, you know, some people would argue that the military is not being destroyed because they still have the capacity to send missiles. Now, which came, you know, hours, excuse me, hours after Donald Trump revealed that he'd sent a 15-point peace plan. According to the White House, the document demands the full dismantling of Iran's nuclear program, an end to the uranium enrichment program, you know, and a host of other security guarantees. Trump speaking in the Oval Office sounded, you know, distinctly upbeat. He said, they're talking to us, he said. They're talking sense. Iran badly wants a deal. That's what Donald Trump said, right? And then, and I'll share this with you guys in a minute. I hope it's translated. I've not watched it yet. Tehran's response, you know, the Iranian military spokesperson said openly, mocked the idea. He said the Americans, he suggested, are negotiating with themselves. If the world's supposed superpower could get out of this mess, he added, it would have done so already. And it does look like boots on the ground are imminent. Now, while all this diplomatic dance and pomp and pageantry is happening, you know, the real nuts and bolts are moving. The United States, America is quietly reinforcing its hand on the ground, or rather, you know, on the air and runways. The Pentagon has ordered elements of the 82nd Airborne, the U.S. Army's rapid deployment, I don't know what they call, rapid deployment brigade or whatever, from Fort Bragg to deploy to the Middle East. Now we're talking, as I understand it, there's under 1,500 troops. However, I think there has to be a significant amount more than that. And if you've been watching my channel, we've been talking about this. We've been talking about how in today's conflicts, in today's war, you never do things, you always do things tiny steps. You do things tiny steps, tiny steps. You say you're going to deploy one man, then you deploy 4. And then you say you're going to deploy one more man, and then you deploy another 10. You know, and you just do things slowly over time. So that's literally happening, you know, as we speak. So I don't know the exact numbers. We've been told it's less than 1,500. Then we're told it's 3,000. So I don't actually know the full numbers. I don't think anybody will, except from the United States, obviously. These are the same troops who've been America's, you know, fire brigade for decades. They're the guys who go in. They're the shock troops. They're great guys. I know a lot of them. Even as Trump speaks of peace, Washington is preparing for boots on the ground. That's what they're doing, guys. Okay. So like I always say, don't listen to what people say. Look at what they do. Like so many things in your life. All right. Don't listen to what people say. You know, like when Keir Starmer says he's going to smash the gangs, we're going to smash the gangs. Then you see him on the punch bag. You know, you think, yeah, I'm questioning whether you can, you know, I'm questioning whether Keir Starmer is going to smash. Anyway, listen, so whether these are to protect oil routes or secure allies in the Gulf, I personally think that these are, you know, these troops will be there to seize key targets north of the Strait of Hormuz, land targets which would give the ability to potentially move through. But listen, guys, you know, anybody who's been following me, I've been telling you guys, it's pointless. Even if you take that ground, you can't not run the risk of someone with a man-packed launchable getting onto the coast and just firing it at one of these, one of these ships. It's going to be very difficult to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So let's be clear about the stakes for Britain and Europe. With the Strait of Hormuz pretty much closed now, oil prices have spiked and spiked and spiked. Shipping insurance, like I always said, it doesn't matter about the military, guys. Donald Trump can promise this, and this. But when you're thinking about like a billion, maybe not a billion, high hundreds of millions of assets, when you with your ship, the cargo that's in that ship, passing it through, and you're like, yeah, Donald, he's like, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. The United States military, we're gonna protect you. We're gonna protect you. It's gonna be a great time. It's gonna be the best ever. Like, I get it. The United States military is powerful, but you're literally running a gauntlet. And I don't think those the captains and the oil companies are going to want to risk hundreds of millions. I don't. So the insurance companies, they're just not going to insure them. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because if you think the United Kingdom, if you think the United Kingdom, is not, is not involved, if you think you want the United Kingdom to get involved, don't worry, because I believe, and I've said this so many times, the conflict in Ukraine is going to spark back up very, very soon. I would say the first week of next month. I've been saying this for a long time, 2nd and 3rd of April. Let's see what happens. I don't know where, unfortunately. I can point fingers to suspected places, but like there's so much stuff happening. There's so much stuff happening in Ukraine right now. It's quite difficult to understand where this thing's going to come. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've got some videos to share with you. If you're on right now, make sure you hit those buttons down below, the like, comment, subscribe, share, bell notification. Also, what I'm going to start doing with these videos, I'm going to start posting these videos as well on my X channel. I think I'll just go around like posting them on other people's channels as well, just to grow the channel. So if you're watching on X and you've clicked this video from X later on, put a comment down below and say, yeah, we got this from X. Right, let me jump up and get some comments actually. RA Redacted says, yesterday I went into a store equivalent to Super Jug in, oh, so you live in Czechia. RA Redacted, do I know you? RA Redacted, have we worked together? I've just looked at your thumbnail. Googling also saying no peace talks have taken place. Iran's ambassador to Pakistan says, yeah. So it is quite humiliating, this whole scenario right now in the Middle East. So everybody on the media, everybody on the TV who are saying there's going to be this, that's going to happen, this is going to happen. Turns out the war's not over. It's not going to be over for a long time, and people should expect things to get a lot worse. Like, I mean, a lot worse. If you're worried about diesel, if you're worried about fuel, go and get it now, because it's not coming down, guys. It's really not coming down at all. If you live in the United Kingdom, right, the price at the pump is just rocketing. I've heard people, and I don't know how much truth there's in this, but I've seen some videos on X and look, guys, I do think that there's a lot of panic buying, because what happens is, so whether there's a fuel shortage or not, right? If you imagine, most people don't drive around with a tank brimmers, right? Don't laugh about brimmers. Most people don't drive around with a tank that's fully brimmed. I don't know, you put 20 quid in, and then when the warning light comes on, you put another 20 quid in. So if the government come out and say that there's fuel shortages, everybody's going to rush to the petrol station, and they're going to fill up their vehicles, right, with fuel, which is going to bring in the fuel shortage. So if the supply is weakened, the demand will rise. Yes, yeah, Googlianos is saying an Estonian power plant has been hit by a Russian drone. Let me try and find this, actually. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me try and find out where this was. I want to find where this was on the map. And I want to see if it's anywhere near that. Right, I'm just on it now. Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is, guys. It's in the northeastern part of Estonia. Yeah, that's where they're going. That's where they're coming. Right, I've got it. Right, hang on. Right, let me Google this on the maps and see if I can get yeah. We said, didn't we, guys? Jesus Christ. Right, let me share this, guys. I think I'm gonna have to come on and do a standalone video about this. So remember the other day when I did a live stream and I talked about Estonia being the next place. So this is where the drones hit, right? This power plant here. Just for context, you've got Estonia on the left or the west, and then you've got Russia on the. I've totally messed that up. Right, there it is. So, right. So that's the. Am I sharing? Am I sharing a screen? Am I sharing a screen? Yeah. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but that is Estonia there. And where that little dot is, that's the power plant. Now, if you guys were on the live stream a couple of days ago, I actually said that I've been talking to my sources in Ukraine, and they are saying that the next Russian push into Estonia is going to be in this location here, just literally there. Narva. Can you guys see that? Oh, not that. So the other day, I was talking about the, I was talking about the Russians moving into this town called Narva, because the town of Narva is, I think it's 80 to 95% ethnically Russian. I did a full live stream on it, and now this drone strike has hit this power plant here. Literally, like a couple of, just a couple of, well, maybe not less than a mile, maybe like 1-2 miles south and west. Right, let me Silly Gallardi is saying, I don't want to be rude, but we have plenty of oil, gas, electricity, water, and food. Right, Silly, I know you're in Israel. I saw a video earlier, 2 videos actually. I saw 2 videos of these crows in Ukraine, not in Ukraine, sorry. I'll share them with you now. So, Silly, can you confirm if this is real or if this is AI? First of all, please, can you confirm if this is real or AI? Because I don't know what I'm looking at here. Now, I'm told that this is. Now, I'm told that this is in Israel. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm told those crows are in Tel Aviv. So, first of all, is this real? Did this happen? And second of all, like, does this happen often? There's another video here as well. So I don't know what I'm looking at there. That video is going around the internet quite a lot. And they're saying that there's these crows around Israel over Tel Aviv and they're leaving. I don't know what I'm looking at. Right? I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know if it's real. So I genuinely don't know what I'm looking at there, guys. It could be AI. It could be fake news. It could be from years ago when there was an oil disaster somewhere. So I don't know what I'm looking at. But if anyone could give me any information on that, because I don't want to, I don't want to be that guy on the internet who's like, oh my God, biblical prophecy in Israel, the crows are leaving. Oh no. When like the situation on the ground is just not that, Go to the Telegraph. Live article, Trump hands Iran 15-point war to end, and click what's in Trump's 15-point peace plan on key moment and look at that and just below it. Right, I'm going to jump to the bottom, guys. Give me a second. Hang on. Right, Silly is saying, Sean, I don't understand why they use AI. They can use pictures of Kiryat Shmona. So are we saying that okay, so just to confirm, are we saying that those videos with the crows it's fake? Are we saying that it's fake? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. RA Redacted is saying, look at what's at the Sea of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran reportedly threatening to cut Red Sea cables, internet data cables for Amazon, Google, etc. Google Enos is saying Tehran informed the mediators that the deployment of US reinforcements, so the 82nd Airborne, heightened its suspicious that Trump's dialogue proposal is a mere ruse. Yeah, don't expect this conflict to be anywhere gone in the next within the next 3 years. Linda Lewis saying, I've seen that many times in Ireland, across the fields. Farmers go out and shoot them. In the UK, farmers use bird scarers. Right, hang on. I've got... Right, I'm going to share this video with you now. I've not watched this video. I don't know if it's translated, but this is well, I'll share the video. So just for context, the next video I'm going to share with you guys is the video from the Iranians claiming that Donald Trump is not in that the United States are not in any type of negotiation with the Iranians, and that the United States must be negotiating with themselves. Now, I've not watched this video. It's on Sky News. I don't know if it's translated or not, but let's just watch it.
دوران وعده‌هایتان به سر رسیده.
Right, okay. Right, it's subtitled. Okay, right, whatever. Right, we'll go through it together. So, this is from Sky News. The United States negotiating with themselves.
قدرت راهبردی که از آن دم می‌زدید تبدیل به شکست راهبردی شده. مدعی ابرقدرتی دنیا.
The one claiming to be so when I used to work in the Middle East, right? you've got an interpreter. So they would I would ask someone a question, they would give me an answer, and they would talk for maybe like 5 or 6 minutes with their answer, and the interpreter would look at me and say, yes. And I'd say, dude, he said more than that, right? He said more than that. So before we go into the interpretations, all right, let's just take a few things, right? I don't speak this dialect of Arabic. So I can only go from the translation that's happening, right? I mean, again, this could be AI. We don't know, right? Everything could be AI. So what he's saying here is this is the Iranian military spokesman, with a fantastic beard. He's saying the one claiming to be a global superpower would have already gotten out of this mess if it could.
میتوانست از این مخمسه رها شود تا حالا شده بود.
Don't dress up your defeat as an agreement. So, okay, so this guy is the spokesperson for the Iranian military, Lieutenant Colonel Ebrahim Zolf. I'm just going to call him Zolf. Zolf. I think Zolf's a good name. Zolf's a strong name. I think I should have Raven Lizolf. Raven El Zolf. He's saying, don't dress up your defeat as an agreement. So it does look like the Iranians are actually not just claiming that they're not defeated themselves. The Iranians look like it's claiming that the United States have been defeated. I don't see that.
اسم شکستتان را توافق نگذارید.
Your era of promises has come to an end.
دوران وعده هایتان به سر رسیده. سطح خود در
Have your internal conflicts reached
گیری هایتان به مرحله مذاکره خود
Have your internal conflicts reached the point where you are negotiating with yourselves? I mean, listen, guys, that is quite funny, right? That is quite funny.
خودتان با خودتان رسیده صراحتاً اعلام می‌کنید.
We state this clearly until it is our will.
کنیم تا موعدی که اراده ما نباشد هیچ وقت
Nothing will go back to the way it was. So if you've been following this channel, I have been saying the exact same. Without the Iranians say so, that Strait of Hormuz is not going to get opened. Doesn't matter what military assets you've got in that region. Doesn't matter how many aircraft carriers you've got or how many airstrikes you can do. Unless the Iranians say so, it's just not going to happen, guys. All right. And people need to just stop, right? Stop pretending that that's going to happen. Stop imagining that there's going to be some sort of, some sort of magic, some sort of voodoo. It's not going to happen. All right. Until the Iranians say so, or until the Iranians have been totally taken down by boots on the ground, which I do think is what's coming.
وضعیتی به روال سابق برنمیگردد. این اراده
That will only come about when the very thought
زمانی ایجاد می شود که به طور کامل فکر اقدام
of acting against the Iranian nation
علیه ملت ایران از اذهان
is completely wiped from your corrupt minds.
کثیف شما پاک شود.
Okay, so what we can take from that, right? What we can take from that is, again, you've got to take all of these things with a pinch of salt, right? No side is going to claim defeat. Literally, right up until you're defeated, you will say you're winning. That's how it works, guys. Okay, that is literally how it works in warfare. You don't come on it you don't win a war by saying, yeah, we're not doing too well over there. Yeah, we're getting his asses kicked over there. We're probably gonna have to fold over there, and yeah, we're running low on drones, and yeah, first golden rule of warfare: don't let your enemy know you're weakened. All right, the first golden rule of warfare: do not let your enemy know you're weakened. So we are seeing a lot of this, and you do have to take everything with a pinch of salt. However, the proof is in the pudding, right? Excuse me. The proof is in the pudding. The United States said that Iran's defeated. their military's gone, it's over, it's finished, they've been destroyed. A couple of hours later, the Iranians fired a load of missiles at US bases in that region. Now, I will agree, the Iranian military has been severely degraded. However, you can't totally degrade. You can't do it without boots on the ground. Think about that whole coastline, south of the southern Iranian coastline on the Persian Gulf. It's very easy for a man or they them. It's very easy for a they them to get down to that coastline with a maybe a man-packed system or a submersible drone, get that into the water and start attacking ships. Very easy. So if you want to police that southern coast, then what do you do? Like, how do you do that? Like, strategically. And people, and you get these people on the TV and they just don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand the amount of kit and equipment that you need to take. They don't understand the amount of food, water, ammunition, supplies, medical Kazivak procedure, all of it. There's a lot of kit and equipment you need to take. And the United States are the only ones with the capability to, to take that over there. Right, I think I've got, we've done that one. We've done that one. Right, I've got another video to share with you guys, I think. Is it that one? No, I've done that one. Right, I've got one more video to share with you guys, and it's a Nigel Farage video, but I will save that. I will save that till the end. Right, I'm just jumping on the chat, guys. I'm just jumping right down to the bottom of the chat. James is saying there is a danger for Iran. They overplay their hand, and the rest of the Middle East turn on them militarily as well. Yeah. I do think the meat of this ground invasion will come from Saudi Arabians. The Saudi Arabians, like, they're right there. It's a lot easier for the Saudi Arabians to get their boots on the ground. Clarendon is saying distraction from what's happening in our own country. It absolutely is, Clarendon. Right, Clarendon. With you saying that, I'm actually going to share Nigel Farage's video now. I was going to wait till the end to share this video. I was going to wait till the end of the live stream to share this video. But you're absolutely right. So we've got all these conflicts going on. Let's not forget that very soon, Britain's going to be very much more kinetically involved in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, potentially Estonia. And we still have our shores being flooded with mass, unchecked, and you can't even call it migration, right? Because it's not migration. Migration would be where somebody makes a visa, or I don't know, applies for a visa, then, comes over to the country and, does everything legally. So let me share this video with you guys.
That 1,000 years, a story that you've probably not heard this week because it's not been reported, and that shows you how broken Britain is.
So with what Clarendon just said there, this just explains how bad things are in Britain. Nobody cares anymore about these migrants coming. Like, thousands, literally thousands. Well, I'll let Nigel talk. Sorry. I'll let Nigel talk and then I'll give commentary.
Things happen now that a story that you've probably not heard this week because it's not been reported. And that shows you how broken Britain is. That things happen now that 5 or 10 years ago would have caused outrage, but now they're part of everyday life. Did you know that 1,000 young men, undocumented males, have crossed the English Channel in the last week. In the last week, it doesn't even make the news anymore. And should we be concerned? Well, here in Leeds, you've got nearly 2,000 people being housed at public expense, young men who cross the English Channel, and once they get accepted to stay, go straight to the top of the social housing list. I'm sorry, but if you come to this country illegally, you throw your documents into the English Channel so that we can't identify you, under a reform government, it won't be a 4-star hotel. It won't be 3 meals a day. You will, quite rightly, be detained and deported. End of story.
It's a lot more difficult than that, guys. You know, I'm not convinced. I'm okay. So first of all, I'm not questioning, you know, Nigel Farage's what he wants to do. I mean, I know he gets a lot of negativity. There's this spark with him and Rupert Lowe, and you know, I would say that Rupert Lowe would be more draconian with this. It's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more difficult to do that, you know, because the system that we have in the United Kingdom, the system that we have in the United States, they have a president, as you guys know, DJT, who has executive power. So he can sign an executive order and it happens, right? That's Donald Trump's executive power. He can just say, right, on a Wednesday, I want everybody to hop on one leg. There you go. Executive power done. Here in the United Kingdom, if we wanted everyone to hop on one leg on a Wednesday, that piece of legislation would have to be drafted. It would have to be presented to the House, the House, the House of Commons or whatever it is. They would then debate over it. Then they would, you know, people would make amendments to it. They would debate the amendments. Then they would vote on it. Then everybody gets a vote. And you need to get a majority. And then I think once that gets the majority, that then goes to the House of Lords for, like, they look through it. I don't know why, but they do. Goes to the House of Lords, they look through it, or then they make amendments or something. Then they bring the amendments back, and then I think they vote on it again. Or maybe it goes to the House of Lords first, then they vote on it. So it's very difficult for a political party to do anything, you know, because you have to have unanimous agreement. And that's why these boots on the ground into Ukraine, it's going to happen quickly, and it will happen without a vote. It will probably happen on a Friday, and I'm saying it's going to happen next weekend. That's what I'm saying. It's, you know, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a strong likelihood that it could happen very soon, potentially next weekend. I don't know what's going to happen next weekend, but the 2nd and 3rd of April those dates are just screaming out to me, guys. There's so many data points about those dates, about that particular time, and as you guys are rightly putting in the comments, that place in Narva in Estonia, there's just been a drone attack in Narva. Remember, we talked about it. Remember what I said? Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to find that video, and then I'm going to share that video on my X. So if you guys can remember what we said on that video, I said, listen, you know, right now, when I did that video last week or something, nobody's talking about Estonia. Nobody's talking about Narva. Nobody knows where it is on the news, on the TV. But when it happens, you'll get all these people on the news, all these politicians, all these people who are in positions of power. And all of a sudden, they'll be experts. All of it, like, I can guarantee that right now they can't point to it on a map. But all of a sudden, when it happens, they'll all be experts and everybody's nodding their heads. Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous. We are so cooked. We are so cooked. And the people in charge Like the people in charge are so out of their depth. It's phenomenally unbelievable. Phenomenally unbelievable. I was speaking to someone. Hang on. I need to be careful here. I was speaking to someone a while ago, and they were saying to me, Sean, why hasn't there been a drone attack on the United Kingdom? And I said, to be honest, mate, I don't know. I'm shocked myself that there's not been a drone attack. I mean, this type, guys, this type. So these ones are the big ones. These are like the Shaheed type, the fixed wing drones. I'm talking about these ones. When we talk about drones and drone warfare, sometimes, you know, I may seem like I'm contradicting myself when I say drones on the battlefield, they're replacing artillery, which they are. But then there's these ones that are overwhelming missile defenses. So they're different different aspects. But these ones, sorry, the quadcopter type. So these quadcopter type drones, you know, you can absolutely, like you there, whoever you are, wherever you are right now, if you live in the United Kingdom, you can order online from like Hobbycraft, or I did this on a stream. You know, you can order all the parts to build a UAV, like, you know, one of those. Now, if you've got that knowledge, and if you know how to build them and weaponize them, and you have that up here, like, how do we know these men that are coming over don't have that knowledge? How do we know that sat somewhere, maybe in a hotel, you know, somebody's not building one of these? I would speculate, guys, that they are, and I would speculate that these things have already been built and they're ready, just waiting to go. Because they're literally flying improvised explosive devices. Now, we know, because it's happened before, that here in the United Kingdom, people can build explosives in their bedrooms, in their kitchens, whatever. This happened on in London, where you had the London bombers. I think what was it, 2005 or something? So we know that people can, you know, we know that people can, hang on. This may be relevant. Oh, go on. No. So we know that these things can be built, right? We know that they can be built. And then if you think, right, okay, you can literally come to the United Kingdom, you know, without, you don't need these weapons. You can literally buy them. You know, you don't, you know, when we talk about asymmetric warfare, which is coming to the United Kingdom, this group, I think there's been 2 arrests actually about these, this group that set fire to the ambulances in, was it Manchester? I think it was Manchester. It might not be. Was it Manchester? I can't remember. But wherever those Jewish charity ambulances were set on fire, I think it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter where it was. What I'm getting at here is I was listening to the news, and they were saying, yes, this group have paid criminal gangs. And, you know, these are the things that I was warning about years ago. No longer do you have to, you know, for, like, we all think of, like, we all watch these old movies, I guess, of, like, sabotage and spies and, you know, there's a guy and he sneaks in, he's in a dry suit, and he swims in and he breaks up out of the ice and he comes out and he climbs the stairs and he takes his night vision goggles off and he unzips his dry suit and he's got a tuxedo on and he gets into the, he gets into the ballroom, to the party. And then he goes to the toilet And then round his tuxedo, he's got like a rope, and he abseils down through the window onto the balcony. And then he's got the memory stick and he's downloading all the files and uploading it. And then just at the last minute, he takes it, he chops someone and he escapes. We all see those, right, as, espionage, right? Espionage. The reality is, why bother doing that when you can just pay someone? Literally, like, why bother doing that when you can just pay someone? You can pay an employee and say, hello, mate, can you just download me all? Can you just take this memory stick and plug it into one of your computers? That's all you need to do now. So you don't need to swim under the ice. It's pretty cold, right? You'd be freezing. You don't need to swim under the ice in a tuxedo. You don't need to chop anyone. You literally just, and you know what? You might not even have to do that. You just go to the local shop in and around that area and saturate them with memory sticks with your malware on. At some point, have you guys heard the what's his name? John McAfee. So I don't know if you've heard this, but apparently John McAfee, he got arrested or something. So what he did is he bought a load of computers and donated them to the US, to the US government, right? So he donated all these computers to the US government, right? And these computers were just packed with malware. And he says within like 24 hours, he had control of the US government. Like, that's all you need to do. So subversion, asymmetric warfare, it's already here, guys, and it's happening. Right, sorry, guys, I've just realised I've been waffling. Right, I'm just jumping down. Right, Googleinos has put some comments on here. Lithuania MOD in the past 48 hours, drones have crashed into the territories of all three Baltic states. It's a clear indication that Russia's war is generating a wider regional risk. Yes, it is. We will respond by strengthening readiness and accelerating air defense. We must remain vigilant. Crushing attack on US aircraft carriers, and oil prices fell about 4% after reported sent a 15-point peace plan to Iran to end the war, boosting the ceasefire expectations and easing fears of supply. Yeah, it's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. It will, once it goes back, once they have boots on the ground, it's going to go back up again. Debatable Lands is saying, we've all worked out that everyone is against us. Everything they do makes us worse off, either migrants or food or fuel hikes. Yeah, it does feel like that. Right, I'm jumping down to the bottom. Paul is saying, with a fantastic thumbnail, he's saying, I don't about the rest of the world anymore. We need to protect our women and children and prioritize our veterans as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And what Nigel Farage just said then, what Nigel Farage just said, when he said 1,000 young men have just broke, like, guys, look, I don't know if you watch, I'll share the video again later. Nigel Farage yesterday, he said 1,000 young men have just broke into the United Kingdom, undocumented. I mean, just say that to yourselves. Literally, just say this to yourselves, guys, okay? Because we forget, right? Just say this: 1,000 young men with no identification, most of them Middle Eastern and African, have broken into the United Kingdom with no documentation, and rather than arresting them and putting them in cells, they're in hotels being given 3 meals a day and some money. That sounds bad enough, right? And then when you consider that this is a weekly thing, and then last year, was it 41,000 that we did 41,000, mostly young men from the Middle East and Africa, came to the United Kingdom, and instead of arresting them, we put them in hotels, we give them 3 meals a day, get their heating cranked up, they don't need to pay for anything, and we look after them. Just say that to yourselves. It's quite phenomenal, right? It's quite phenomenal. The numbers involved. I keep saying this, I keep saying this, and I've got no say on it. Don't listen to what people are saying with these schemes and these, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. If you can't stop rubber dinghies coming over, if you can't stop rubber dinghies coming over to the United Kingdom, what is it that you can do? So Rod Panhard is saying these migrant army are all going to have access to serious weaponry as well. Meanwhile, we will be have our non right. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Hang on a minute. $1,000 young men. Listen, Boggy, I bet it's not the first time you've had 1,000 young men. Listen, I think everybody should be bringing in tanks, guys. Everybody should be bringing your tanks. It's not bad advice. I think it's, I think it's good advice that everybody needs to bring your tanks. Sean, it's to collapse the economy and make our country poor. It does feel like it's going that way, guys. Kimmy is saying, Sean, please read a comment by I think it's AJ Aesthetics. Right, let me jump up and try and find AJ Aesthetics comment. I'm just scrolling up now to try and find AJ Aesthetics comment, or maybe comments, I don't know. Yeah, I will, Sharon. I'm going up now to get it. I'm trying to find it. Oh, sorry, AJ Aesthetics. Right, I am on now. I'm getting the questions and comments. I am now. Right. I will. Throw me your questions, guys. Throw me your questions. You see, there's just so much stuff happening at the moment. And there's so much information we need to get out there. Right, I'm at the bottom now. Jack Jones is saying, we are the sitting ducks. We are sitting ducks if we don't take a stand, saying it nicely. Yeah, I think things have to get a little bit worse first before people actually, do that. AJ Aesthetics is saying, Sean, there is a huge drone manufacturing facility taking over a large part of the old Honda factory in Swindon. Opens this year, 3,000 jobs. Well, first of all, that's going to be a target, right, for asymmetric warfare. The people that will be applying for, okay, let's just ask a few questions, right? Who's going to be applying for these jobs? Like, we already know that here in the United Kingdom, we have been hugely subverted, huge amounts of subversion, infiltration. So I would say that there's a strong likelihood that some people that are getting those jobs, right, in these drone factories may be foreign agents, right? It makes sense. If you live in the United Kingdom and, you're third, fourth, fifth, I don't know, generation, but you don't class yourself as British, you still class yourself as somewhere else, wouldn't it make sense to try and get a job at one of these places? And then you see, now you've got to understand, like what I said previously about the subversion, where, like, to find out what's happening in this factory, you would need to send in like remember what's his name, Pierce Brosnan, right? You know when Pierce Brosnan on he was a great Bond. You know when Pierce Brosnan breaks into that factory on GoldenEye and he's got the little thing in his belt and I think it's GoldenEye. The Carver News Press or whatever it is. So no, it's not GoldenEye. It's whatever it was. And he's doing his spy stuff. Well, guess what? You don't need to do that anymore. Why? Probably got 2 or 3 staff working there. You just speak to them on a weekend. You're like, hello, mate. Yeah, anything? He's like, no. Can you get me a copy of this? Yeah, I'll get you a copy. I'll get you one. If you want one of them, I'll bring you one. So I would say this is going to be heavily infiltrated. I would say it's going to be a massive target. And I don't think that they should. If he's providing 3,000 jobs, that's clearly a good thing. What are they going to produce and what's the security going to be like? Christine is saying there's a big protest in Sheffield. The colours, raise the colours at 12 p.m. today. David King is saying, charity begins at home. It does. It always does, guys. Yeah, you've got to sort your own stuff out. Slim is saying, I remember when Sean had an audience of 3, me and 2 others. Thank you, Slim. I appreciate that. Rod Panhard is saying, you can't brim modern cars to the top of the filler deck. There's a bypass back to your carb evaporate filter for emissions and your car will run like a... Oh, right, okay. Right. Okay, right. Maybe it was bad advice. Right, okay, right. Listen, okay. I don't claim to be an engine like a... Okay, right. Fill your car up as much as possible, right? Up to the manufacturer's, fill your vehicle to the manufacturer's guidelines and keep it that way, guys, okay? Ecclesfield is Ecclesbourne Glen is saying, I'm getting a wired keyboard. Bluetooth is rubbish. I wanted to get some more cameras for the house. I wanted to get like big ones, more as deterrent, because like our cameras on the house are quite small and you can't see them. Like to try and find a wired CCTV camera, it's virtually like it's really difficult to get like a wired pan tilt zoom camera. They're all this like internet thing, and we want to have like one right down at the bottom of the gate, so when people walk past they can see the cameras, and then it's like a deterrent. But yeah, wired. There's a lot to be said about having things wired. You can't hack wires. Paul Sullivan is saying, Sean, you're missing the bigger picture. Taiwan has... yeah, I didn't think of that, actually. So, Paul Sullivan, yeah, that is a massive thing that I will 100% concede. I've totally not even thought about this, yeah. Taiwan only has days left worth of fuel and gas. Without that, there will be no industry, no microchip production. China will definitely take advantage. I did not even think about that, Paul Sullivan. You're absolutely right. Paul is saying it won't be on a Wednesday in Sheffield. They have been regular. Right. Is there a protest? Let me just Google this. Guys. Raise the colours. Oh, hang on a minute. Right. Hang on. So urgent call to tear down flags on lampposts. in major UK city. An urgent call has been made for the Council of Sheffield to take urgent action over the number of flags still attached to lampposts across the city. Sheffield communities against racism, like Sheffield communities against racism, like if we are saying a national flag is racist, there's no meaning to the word racist. That your national flag racist has no meaning anymore. No meaning. What about cups? What if I have a cup? What Union flag cup? Is that racist? Is that cup racist? What about that flag there? Is that racist now? Is it racist? Or is it only racist when it's on a lamppost? Okay, what about if it's on a flagpost? Okay, is it racist outside a council building? Is it racist outside? But like, at what point is the word racist just not even a word? You're racist. What does that mean? What does that mean? I've got a Union flag cup. My American friend got me that. It's illegal to place or attach items to a public highway without consent. The letter addressed to the members of Sheffield City. Have you seen the mayor of Sheffield? I think she's a beautiful Somalian lady. Very, very, I think she's, it's a very diverse city. The letter addresses the members of Sheffield City Council and reads, "We are writing as concerned residents of Sheffield and demand urgent action regarding the flags that continue to appear on lampposts across Parsons Cross." Isn't Parsons Cross where it all kicked off the other day? These flags are part of a coordinated campaign of intimidation and anti-immigrant hate. So is that where does this go? What if somebody has a flag outside their house? It's just ridiculous, guys. It's ridiculous. Hang on. Do you know what? Actually, this is quite powerful. These flags are part of a coordinated campaign of intimidation and anti-immigrant hate. They are illegal. It's an illegal flag. That flag is illegal. Take it down. Replace it with a Palestinian flag. They are illegal, and allowing them to remain is an abandonment of public space and a tolerance and a toleration of harassment. It added, "These flags act as territorial markers." I said this, guys. I said this. I said this when these flags first started to go up. I said, you're going to have very soon, when the Civil War comes, you're going to, like to visualize it. You will have a road. On one side, you will have the Union flags, right? And on the other side, you will have, I don't know, Somalian flags or something, Eritrean flags, whatever, Pakistani flags, whatever. And there's going to be segregations. And then you're going to have like alliances, and it's just going to be crazy. So it added, "These flags act as territorial markers. They signal ownership of space and make non-white residents feel unsafe and unwelcome in their own communities." Yeah. It's a kicker, that one, isn't it? In their own communities. "Explicit threats of violence towards residents attempting to remove flags have been reported many times." So, yeah, I still don't know. I think it says it's going to be on the 4th of April. April the 4th. Yeah, so it says the group has announced plans for a protest in the city centre on April the 4th, which would be next Saturday. It's all going to kick off, guys. It is. It's all going to kick off at some point. Right, I'm literally just jumping to the bottom. Where's the chat gone? The chat's vanished. No, it's back. Is the flag racist when the football's on? I don't know. I don't know when the flag's racist, guys. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know. Four paws with a fantastic picture of your is it your dad or your granddad who recently passed? Very tempted to oh right, okay, I can't repeat that. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start to share these. I'm going to start to share these videos on your uncle. Sorry, Four Paws, you did say. I do apologize. Your uncle. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to start sharing these videos on X. You know, to grow the channel, because I used to stream on X as well, but I've just stopped doing that because it's a faff. I am going to come back on later on today, and I'm going to give an Eastern Europe update. I'm going to give a Ukraine update. I'm going to do that as quickly as possible. Yeah, I am Googling us. I'm going to come straight back on, and I'm going to talk about what's happening in the Baltics, because that's going to drag everyone in. That's going to drag Britain involved. And like, if you live in the United Kingdom, that's going to be your main, your main event. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. I will try and get more of your comments. I will, guys. I'll try and get more of your comments in future. And I bid you good morning. I'll be back on very soon. I'll see you later.